So it's now been around 4.5 years since I bought this apartment, and I think it's a good time to ask the question, was it a good decision? And also, of course, was it actually a good investment? Hi all, my name is Nina and I'm coming here from the free info channel, and today we're filming on my terrace in my apartment because we are very much talking about this particular apartment. The apartment is located in Torremolinos in the area that's called Playa Mar. It's located around 500 meters or around 5 minutes walking from the beach here. It's around 55 to 60 square meters including the terrace, and there is one bedroom. There is a pool in the building and everything is basically located within walking distance. So I have supermarkets, restaurants, and also the local cercanías train. So one of the nice things about living here is that I don't need a car. Then on top of that, the airport is located around 5 to 10 minutes by the local train, and Malaga City is around 20 minutes by the local train. Today I will tell you why I bought this apartment. I will tell you a little bit about the process, how much I paid, and then how much I think I would be able to sell it for if I were to sell it today, in order to answer the big question that is, was it actually a good investment? So if you're looking to buy property in Spain, or if you're just curious, then let's get started. So why did I buy an apartment in Spain? I moved to Spain around 6 years ago. Around 4.5 years ago, I had some money saved up and I didn't really know exactly what to do with it. The amount was more or less enough for a down payment on an apartment, and that naturally made me consider maybe I should buy an apartment as a way of utilizing the savings I had, but also a good way to park the money in something that seemed like a safe savings account. Another thing is that I had been somewhat of a nomad prior to moving to Spain and prior to buying this apartment, and as much as I like moving around, I also like having a base. Essentially, I saw the idea of buying an apartment here in the south of Spain as a good way of getting a base in a really nice place, because there is no denying that living near Malaga, near the beach, with this wonderful climate is a very nice place to be well based. I chose this area specifically because it is ideally located near the beach. It is semi-residential, so it's pretty quiet, but you still have everything convenient nearby, such as supermarkets, restaurants, and whatnot. I've also lived in this area, so I was somewhat familiar with the place, and I really liked it. As mentioned earlier, I had enough for a down payment, but I didn't have enough to buy it all in cash, so I needed a mortgage. I did compare several Spanish banks, although that might be a video on its own, but in the end, I ended up actually going with a bank from my country, from Denmark. The Danish bank gave me a much better rate and they asked a lot fewer questions than all the Spanish banks. I went to see around 6 or 7 different apartments. They all had either 1 or 2 bedrooms, and they were more or less all located in this particular area of Playa Mar in Torremolinos. I ended up choosing this one because I felt like I was getting a pretty good deal, because it was, I think, the closest to the beach of all the apartments that I looked at, and it had a pretty big terrace compared to what is sort of the Spanish standard here. Now, it does not have sea views, but that is something that I felt like I didn't necessarily need to pay for. So you're wondering, how much did I actually pay? I paid 96,000 euros. That was the final price that we agreed on. Now, if you were wondering if it's normal to negotiate the price in Spain, it is my understanding that it is quite common to negotiate the price. When I first started looking at this place, it was priced at around 120,000 euros, but it had been listed previously at 130. I got it down to 96,000 through some back and forth and some negotiation about furniture and whatnot included in the price. Yeah, I was pretty happy with that price. Of course, you have to remember that it is not free to buy an apartment in Spain. When you buy real estate in Spain, you have to remember that there is a pretty hefty transfer tax. There are also fees associated, and that is whether or not you use a lawyer, which I would always recommend you to do, by the way. On top of that, in my case, I ended up spending quite the amount of money on renovating the apartment. So let's go over the numbers. First of all, 96,000 euros for buying the actual apartment. Then I spent around 8,000 euros on fees and taxes and lawyers. After that, I spent around a total of 17,000 euros on remodeling the place and furnishing it, essentially. because let me tell you, it did not look like this when I bought it. And that is also one of the reasons I got a good price. It was not in a great shape when I bought it, so essentially I have redone the entire terrace floor, I've gotten new windows, and I've remodeled the bathroom completely. I got new floors, painted everywhere, so the only thing that I really didn't touch that much is the kitchen. So in order to answer the question if this was a good investment or not from purely like a numbers perspective, we need to find out what I would have to sell this for in order to break even when you include the costs and taxes and whatnot. So I am glad that I actually wrote everything down because it allowed me to reach the calculation that I would have to sell the place for at least 125,000 euros in order to break even when you consider all the taxes, both the taxes already paid and the capital gains tax that you have to pay in Spain when you sell a property and there is a profit. And just quickly how I reached that number, although you can deduct the improvements that you made in the sense that you don't have to pay capital gains tax of the increase in value that arises from the work you did on the place, I don't know if all the work I did would qualify, so I'm trying to give a conservative estimate. And then of course is the question, if I were to sell it today, what would I actually be able to sell it for? Now, I keep an eye on the property market from time to time to just see what's for sale in my area. I would say, I think a conservative price would be around 180,000 euros, which after the capital gains tax and the fees associated would give me a profit of around 55,000 euros. Does that mean that it was a good investment? I guess I would have to say yes. Although, of course, keeping in mind that I have absolutely no plan whatsoever to sell the place anytime soon, but it is still good to know. And one other thing that is very important here in the Costa del Sol area in general is that it can be quite difficult to find a long-term home if you are renting, that is. So not only was it a good decision in terms of profit, which was completely random, I mean whether or not prices increase or not is something that's completely outside of my control, but it has also been really nice in the sense that I've had a place to stay over the past 4.5 years and nobody has been able to kick me out, except maybe I guess the bank, but I've been paying my mortgage, so that's sorted. Here is some advice based on my experience. So first of all, be careful with the estate agents here. It's not a licensed job and you never really know if they know what they're talking about, so don't expect all the real estate agents to have all the information that you inquire about. Also, be careful to buy in an area that you're not familiar with. If you're looking to buy something here in the south of Spain and you haven't actually lived here before, maybe you've been on vacation, maybe you saw some nice pictures, do yourself a favor and go live a little bit in that area, because sometimes there's a big difference between going on vacation or seeing pictures online and then really feeling the vibe of the area, and I think that is the case for everywhere in the world basically. To give you an example, there is a big difference between Playa Mar, here where I live, and then the center of Torremolinos, which is sort of the town here. The vibe is very, very different. For example, I wouldn't want to live in the center, but here in this more residential area, I think it's really nice. So sometimes just like 1 kilometer can make a really big difference. Of course, also make sure to research about the taxes and fees associated with purchasing a place so you know exactly how much you can buy with your budget. Something else that is very important, if you're looking at a listing and it says that the materials or the general building is luxury or high-end or whatever fancy words they might use, be really careful because it doesn't necessarily guarantee the use of high quality materials. Actually, if you want to make sure that you get a home with really good materials used or some specific materials, I would suggest you do what I did, which is to buy a place in a pretty shitty condition and then renovate it yourself, because then you know exactly how everything has been made, then you know the origin of the materials and you know the nature of the materials as well. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, as it helps me create more content for you guys. Alright, that was everything I had for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and don't hesitate to leave a comment if you have any questions about me buying this place or any questions about buying real estate in Spain in general. I hope you have a wonderful day, and greetings from beautiful and sunny Spain.